Oh, it's very charred. Good. This looks disgusting. Oh no, that's worse. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that.
Today we're going to be seeing my favorite pair on Epicurious, Lorenzo and Frank, on how they make their cheeseburgers at home. If you are new, welcome to the channel. My name is James. I've been cooking for many years in the United States and over here in Europe as well, and I have plenty of other recipe videos, reaction videos on my YouTube channel. So hopefully you will enjoy this video today, guys, and if you do, then be sure to give it a like and maybe even a share if you want to. And if you want to watch any more of my content or anything else, then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Now, let's get started.
I'm Emily, and I'm a level 1 chef.
I'm Lorenzo, and I'm a level 2 chef.
I'm Frank, and I've been a professional chef for 23 years.
Let me know down below who you think is going to make the best burger. Is it going to be Frank, Lorenzo, or Emily?
I last made this hamburger recipe probably about 2 weeks ago.
I actually just made this cheeseburger a couple days ago.
This is the burger I make for my family and friends, the people that are most important to me.
When I make burgers, I just use store-bought ground beef. Here we go.
This is grass-fed ground chuck. It's about 80 lean meat and 20 fat. The fat is your golden ticket to a good burger.
Yeah, it looks like Lorenzo's gonna give Frank a run for his money today. For most people, buying pre-made ground meat is the easiest way to go. It's not the best, but it is the easiest because you don't have to do all the work. If you have the means to make your own ground meat at home, or even you can ask the butcher, but it may be a little more expensive, it is the better option because then you can control what goes into the ground meat.
For my hamburgers, I like to use beef short ribs. It's got a great amount of lean meat to fat. The only problem with it is it's tough. So what we have to do is grind it. I like to grind my own meat because when you go to the supermarket, basically they're just getting whatever beef scraps they have. This way, I get a burger that I know exactly what's in it.
One little tip when grinding your meat at home, if you have all metal attachments, I would suggest to chill them first, especially if you're going to be grinding like a lot of meat. It's not something that you have to do, but it's just good practice to keep everything cold because you don't want to leave the meat out too long and let that come up to room temp. And I do agree with Frank that it is better to grind your own meat or even ask your butcher to do it because sometimes, well, it depends on where you live, but even here at some of the grocery stores, I won't mention who, but if you look at the ingredients list, it'll say only 82% meat in the ground meat, so the other 18% is all filler and additives.
Now I'm just gonna put some breadcrumbs in. It holds it together, I think, a little better. Next up, some Worcestershire sauce, garlic powder, pepper, salt, chili flakes, because my husband likes everything spicy.
So Emily's adding a lot of different ingredients, some spices and herbs to this to try to improve the flavor. But if you have a really good quality cut of meat that you use to make your own burger, you don't need to add everything. Now, as far as the breadcrumbs, you'll be surprised to see how many places do actually add breadcrumbs to the burgers. Now, the one benefit to adding panade, which is not just breadcrumbs, to ground meat, when it's cooked well done, normally ground meat is very tough, and if you add a panade to it, it will make sure that it's not tough. It'll still be moist, again, depending on how much you add and everything. But it is a good little trick if you want a meatloaf or anything that's not like dry.
Now that my meat is ground up, I'm gonna form it into patties.
You really just shouldn't handle the meat too long.
I disagree with that.
Butch.
I like to work it a little so the burger stays together, holds its shape. What I usually do is I work it until it'll kind of stick to my hand.
I'm just gonna kind of like roll these up and then flatten them like hockey pucks.
So Lorenzo's not completely wrong. You can overwork the meat to a point, but by hand, it's gonna take a little bit longer than you may think to actually overwork the meat, especially if you have like kilos of ground meat. It's gonna take a very long time for you to be able to honestly overwork it. So you don't need to worry about this at home. A good rule of thumb is when you're mixing the ground meat together, you need to mix it until it's at least mixed, so it doesn't just fall apart in the pan.
Then I do the old divot, little dimple in the middle.
I work it into a volcano shape. What this is gonna happen is that when the meat cooks, it's gonna expand a little. This is actually gonna disappear and even out and make a nice flat burger.
Now we're ready to cook some burgers.
I cook the burgers in a cast iron pan. Cast iron pan holds a lot of heat.
I'm using a non-stick fry pan.
Skillet, griddle, flat iron. What I'm doing is cooking bacon. Why? I'm having a bacon cheeseburger.
I agree with Lorenzo. I love bacon on my cheeseburger. cheeseburger. When choosing a pan though, I would say that is a good idea to use a thicker bottom pan like Frank is doing. A cast iron pan will work fantastically well. If you are using a thin bottom pan, you can do it, but I wouldn't recommend it because the thin pan will not distribute the heat as evenly, and you can burn it.
So when I cook these, I don't really need that much pink inside, just a little bit of pink. That ground meat doesn't really have a great texture when you cook it rare.
I like it medium rare.
I season my burgers with salt.
Salt it right before you cook it.
What happens when you season ahead, salt draws out the moisture.
You want a moist burger.
As Frank is explaining, salt will extract the moisture from whatever you add it to. When making the patties, it's a good idea to add the salt à la minute, at the last minute, just before you cook them, because it will extract a lot more moisture than you want.
When I season liberally. It's gonna help that crust form. I have a little beef fat, so I'm gonna take a little bit of fat and just coat the bottom of my pan.
I'll also use the delicious rendered fat from the bacon to cook my burger. Ooh. I'm gonna take these off. You sit over there.
The reason I use beef fat and not something like butter, with a pan this hot, I'm gonna put my butter in the pan and immediately the butter is gonna burn.
If you have some beef fat or some beef tallow, you can use that. This will add a lot of flavor to not just the burger patty that you're going to cook. Even if you want to make some, say, French fries, you can actually use beef tallow to fry them in. But Lorenzo is also doing something that you can easily do at home without having to buy extra beef fat. Just use some bacon fat. It'll add extra flavor to the burger and some delicious flavor if you don't burn it.
Now I have my patty, I have my volcano in the middle. I'm gonna put the flat side down first.
So I'm gonna give it about 4 minutes on each side.
All right, if you're gonna be using a saute pan and adding butter to it, you wanna lower the temperature a little bit because 360 is too high.
And when I see the lower portion of that burger get dark, crispy brown, flip over.
I'm gonna go as high as I possibly can to start that browning and the crust on the bottom. People tend to start moving things around. Leave the burger alone.
I'm just pressing down on it to make sure that all the meat touches the pan at least a little bit.
Do not press the juices out of this delicious burger, please.
I want a little bit of onion flavor on my burger. I take a nice slice of onion, I'm gonna put it on top.
We're getting a lot of smoke, I'm not sure why.
We can easily tell that Emily's pan is way too hot and the butter is smoking, which means that unless she takes it off the heat, it's going to burn. Now, if you don't have bacon or any beef fat or anything else to cook with this, you can use oil. I mean, it's not forbidden to use oil. Maybe not olive oil unless you want the flavor, but you can use some oil to cook the burger. It's not a problem.
That it's nice and crispy. So I'm gonna do the old flip. Oh, it looks good, you guys.
One thing to keep in mind is that all three of them are using an induction burner, and this will not cook the same as using gas. It will cook a lot quicker. So you may have to lower the temperature like Lorenzo's doing. It may take a little bit longer, but it will allow you to cook that burger perfectly instead of burning it.
My burger's brown on this side, I'm gonna give it a flip. So you can see, I have a beautiful crust.
Here we go, wait, there you go. Ah, oh, it's very charred. Good. This looks disgusting. Oh no, that's worse. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Oh good, the other side's nice and charry too.
If the pan starts smoking like this, you have to take it immediately off the heat because you will burn the burger like this. And, you know, at this point, the burger's gone. I mean, it's time to start over again. You don't really want to be serving this unless you like burnt meat, then it's fine.
Crisp outer layer that's been formed. It's sealing the juices in this burger, and I'm waiting about 3 minutes.
So now my onion on the other side is getting caramelized. Caramelization is when the sugars start to go brown. The way that I'm gonna test this burger for doneness is I'm actually gonna poke at it, right? If I poke at it now, it's still really soft, and I want it to be fairly firm.
The easiest way for people that don't know if a steak or a burger is done is by taking a thermometer and checking it instead of guessing. Because if you don't know, you're going to be guessing. Or you can just cut it in half, but it's not the best thing to do.
I'm gonna go ahead and put the cheese on this side because at least it's a little less charred. This is American cheese, so that'll melt nicely.
Today I'm using sliced cheddar cheese. Basically, this is when you get your camera out and you start taking pictures of your burger.
For this burger, I'm gonna use some Munster cheese. Now, Munster has a lot of the same melting qualities as American cheese, but it also has a little bit more flavor. I'm gonna let the Munster melt.
If your burger is burnt, you can use the cheese to cover it up, but that's not going to cover up the flavor when you bite into it. So it's best just to like make a new burger. But personally speaking, I would like a nice sharp cheddar on my burger. Well, it depends on what type of burger I'm making, but normally it's a nice sharp cheddar. Bacon and blue cheese is, that's also a good combination. It depends on what you like with your burger. Regardless of what type of cheese that you use though, I would recommend covering the burger as you put the cheese on to help melt it quicker.
My burger is being hugged by my cheese. So let's set this delicious burger. Oh my Lord, have mercy.
So now my cheese is melted. It's not melted totally, but it's gonna continue to cook as I take it out of the pan.
I'm gonna take this off and just check the doneness real quick. If one were to eat this, it would be a little raw in the middle. That burger was burnt on the outside and raw on the inside, so we're gonna go again. I'm turning this on, much less hot than before. Butter, burger. Yeah, I think that's a cooked burger.
You should either do what Frank or Lorenzo has done. It's a much better combination. It'll work out better for you if you try their methods.
And now we're gonna get abundance and toppings and finish this burger.
I have a Kaiser roll today. I'm gonna butter it a little bit. I'm actually just toasting this in the griddle.
So I have just a normal white grocery store bun, a hamburger bun.
If you have enough residual fat in the pan from either the beef or the bacon or the burger patty from cooking it, you don't need to add a lot of extra butter and extra fat to it. You can add a little if you want. It depends on your preference. Some people prefer it, some people don't.
I like a potato roll. The bun doesn't need any extra fat. The burger has enough for it. Toasted plain.
Now we've got a nicely toasted Kaiser roll. Delicious.
Now we're gonna work on our toppings for the burger.
First off, I have some ketchup. I just like a little bit of moisture underneath the burger. Put a little mayo.
Hello.
All right, so we have mustard on the top. I usually do 3 dill pickle slices.
Fantastic.
As a chef, I like to make my own pickles. I have a fancy French mandolin. This gives the pickles a nice crinkled cut. And we just want to make enough to fill up our jar. Some sprigs of dill, I'm just gonna stuff them into the bottom of the jar. I have a little bit of garlic, add a couple of cloves, and then my spices. Coriander seed, black peppercorns, mustard seed, some little Thai bird chilies. And then I proceed to stuff my cucumbers in. And now I'm gonna take the brine that I made. I get a ladle, and I just fill it with the ladle. And there you go. Put my lid on, it goes right in the fridge. I leave it in the fridge for about a week.
It is nice making your own pickles, but you need to do it ahead of time. You can't do it at the last minute. At home, it's not a good idea to be using the cutting board for everything by putting pots and pans on it, by putting liquids on it, pouring water on it, or pickling liquid or anything like this. With Frank, it's understandable because this is for the video and you know, you have to like reposition the camera if you don't put it at the right angle or right position. But in general, it's a good idea not to do everything on the cutting board, especially your wood cutting board, because if you pour a bunch of liquids on the wood cutting board, you know, after a while, it's going to warp faster.
I have my burger patty. I'm gonna put it on my bun. I have the pickles that I made.
Bib lettuce.
That's a nice slice of lettuce right there.
Tomatoes.
I only like a few pieces of raw onion.
I kind of like a lot of it. Oh boy. My bacon. That looks good. And then some ketchup.
When adding some of your condiments, it's not necessary to add everything there is, only if you like the condiment. It is a nice idea to add a few extra condiments on there. When you're eating a burger, the last thing that you want is a slice of tomatoes like that thick. You don't want it. Or an onion that's like that thick. You know, if you slice the onions a little thinner, it's nicer. And if you put a lot of cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and everything else on top, is that if you put so much on top and so much sauce and everything, when you bite into it, everything slides off. And that's not fun.
Not a ton. I just want enough so that it adds a little sweetness to my burger.
I'm just gonna press it all together. Bam.
Boom.
Beautiful.
It looks good.
It smells fantastic.
What I like most about this burger is it's not complicated.
One topping that nobody added to the burger though was some nice caramelized onions. And for me, I love caramelized onions on my burger. Absolutely love them.
And now for the best part, I get to eat it.
Oh my Lord.
It's just delicious.
Overall, everyone did a pretty good job. Emily fixed her little mistake that she made. Frank obviously pickled his own pickles and he made a good looking burger. Simple but good. But Lorenzo has given Frank a run for his money. Frank, Lorenzo, if either of you are watching, it would be fun to cook with you guys. It really would. So hopefully you did enjoy this video, guys, and hopefully you learned a little something as well. If you did like it, then be sure to give it a like and a share. And if you want to see another delicious recipe coming up or a funny video, then you should click on this one here. And don't forget to subscribe. because this does help my channel out greatly and you won't miss out on any upcoming content. Until next time, take care.